Driving a 65 and 70, what they were doing before, and it's going to be that way for a while till they get comfortable with that speed.
Trooper Hartley says he knows it's human nature to push the limit, but if you think the new speed limit means you can go faster than 65, even if it is just 5 miles faster, Hartley says you'd better think again.
We're going to take a get tough policy.
The signs changed this morning, but what about the motorist speeds? Hartley says drivers average 5 to 10 miles per hour over the limit. That's exactly what the radar showed, except now the speed limit here along 131 is 65. According to the radar, most motorists either know the speed limit has changed or just like to push the limit. But in person, most say they weren't aware of the increase.
Well, you just came off of 131. What's the speed there?
Wasn't it 55? I wasn't aware of it. It's a good chance maybe many people didn't.
Well, I knew the speed limit was changing, so I was exiting, and I didn't really even notice it until I looked.
You'll have to wait a little longer to drive 70. The increases from 65 to 70 on those 5 stretches of highway won't take effect until August 1st. We're live along US 131. Leanne Suter, News 8.
The mercury is climbing, and that will bring...
We're with Trooper Dave Hartley, Michigan State Police, and there is no question people break the law every day, all day, don't they?
That's correct, Tom. Speed is one of the biggest violations that we have out here. It's one of the ones that we work at the most to enforce.
Now, when we, back in '87, raised the law, the speed limit from 55 to 65, were you worried?
There was some apprehension as to the average speed, how much higher it would go. We know that ideally they say 65, but in reality people are usually driving faster than that, maybe 5 or 7 miles over the limit.
Now what we found is in the radius around town, they drive much faster than 55. You get out in the 65 area, and there are some speeders who will really go, but most everybody's comfortable with that. It's the prudent and reasonable limit, it seems.
I think that's right.
70.
That's right. That they tend to be the average speed is a little higher in the 55 than it is out in the 65. Yeah. That's correct.
In fact, you've got a gun here. Let's take a look at some of the people going under us right here as they head east on 96 on the way to Lansing.
All right.
Take a look at that. We brought a gun, and generally they have these attached to their cars. Let me get on this side over here, and we can pick them out. How fast are we getting here? Oh, now just when we need them, we haven't got it. Here we go. Here comes a car.
Well, the speeds are up around 68, 67. As you can see, the speed changes depending on which vehicle it's clocking.
Now, if you're monitoring traffic out here, are you going to go after somebody speeding through town at 68?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. There are days that probably could, depending on the traffic condition, whether I would be able to catch them or not. And depending on the road surface, the weather conditions, whether I deem it would be necessary on that particular day.
Dave, what is generally the grace factor that we can count on when we're out driving and the speed limit is 65? How fast do we dare go before we, you can put that down, it gives people, that confirms that people speed around here. How fast do we dare go before we can expect the trooper to chase us down, generally?
Well, that's another tough question, because I think every police officer has their own grace area. Some officers would call it a little closer than others. I would say a good rule is if it's 55, try to drive 55, because you never know how far off your speedometer is. Hopefully it's accurate, but if it's not, then you assume you're doing, say you think you're safe at 60 and your speedometer's off maybe a couple miles an hour, well, you might be getting up there in the danger area.
However, if your speedometer is accurate and you're going 60 into 55 or 70 into 65, probably you're not going to sound the alarm anywhere.
Well, that's probably a safe assumption.
Okay.
Right?
One last question. Of all the drivers you see today, is there a category of driver that you find most aggressive?
Well, I think without a doubt, it's been my experience that young women tend to drive faster and closer. They are the tailgaters, and they just seem to really push.
I'm surprised you say that, because that's exactly my impression. Some of these young women have scared me to pieces.
Yeah,
they come right up behind you, and they don't even know it somehow.
Well, they're not paying attention, I suppose, but they are aggressive, without a doubt.
And you're writing them up?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Trooper Dave Hartley from the Michigan State Police, thank you very much for being with us. Okay, when we come back, Rick Roberts.
Police, they think of
the man in the blue uniform and the blue car who turns on the red light and stops them for driving too fast down the freeway.
But with a staff of more than 3,000 and a budget of some $200 million, they do more than give out tickets. They help other law enforcement agencies to do their jobs.
Through its forensic science laboratory system in the state, through the management of some 22 multi-jurisdictional drug enforcement teams. We're the state repository for all criminal history records and the state repository for all criminal fingerprints.
The trooper is still the backbone of the department. We're the ones that you would deal with in the event something happened.
In our next series of reports, we'll take a closer look at the state police as they celebrate their 75th birthday. How far have they come, and what impact will the state budget cuts have on their future? Cheryl Adams reporting for Page 17. Posts for 18 years. He's been doing the job more than half his life, but that doesn't make some things any easier, like drunk driving accidents.
When we have to go to their house in the middle of the night and wake them up and then tell them that a husband or a son or a daughter or someone was killed in a car accident, there's no easy way to do it. My father was an alcoholic, and he'd been arrested for drunk driving a number of times. Causes a lot of grief in the family.
The department is 75 years old this year, and there's been many changes. They don't transfer troopers as much as they used to, and at some posts like Rockford, they've gone to one-man patrol at night.
We don't like it, quite frankly. It's unsafe. And they can talk all they want about their statistics that prove that it's just as safe. I think common sense would tell you that it's safer when you got two men out there.